Looking to improve your squad on Ultimate Team? Visit IGGM.com for safe and reliable coins with the link in the description. Use my promo code NA to get 5% off. What's up, guys? It's been a minute since my last video, and if you guys are wondering why, it's just because, to be honest, I felt like we reached a ceiling with custom tactics. After the 4-2-2, I felt like, there wasn't really anything else that was, able to compete with that custom tactic. I do feel like we've reached, almost like a ceiling or a limit with custom tactics this year. I feel like we can't really get too much more better custom tactics than this compared to like the 4-2-1-3, the 4-2-2, all that stuff. But it's about to be team of the season at the time of this video. It's a couple hours before team of the season is officially released, so there might be a patch, there might not be. If you see this video is dropped as soon as team of the season's already out, that's probably because it wasn't a patch, so I figured we just drop it as is. If not, if there was a patch, I'll probably play a couple games with this custom tactic before I post it, make sure it's good to go, but I'm sure that's the case. And this custom tactic we're talking about is the 4-1-2-1-2. And the 4-1-2-1-2 is, a FIFA classic for people that have been playing FIFA for a while. I remember it was the older FIFAs where this was really meta, and it's always been like a B class or an A class custom tactic. It's a really good custom tactic. It's just the one issue that a lot of people struggle with on this custom tactic, me included, is the fact that you just don't have wingers. You don't really have that natural width, so it takes a lot of time to adapt to. It's really different, but we've managed to still get width on this custom tactic. You're still going to have like a wider presence. It's just going to look a little bit different. If you're a player that really like the 4-1-2-1-2 and older FIFAs, if you're a player that can, play in smaller spaces, you love tiki-taka, you love playing down the middle, and if you just, like love through balls down the middle, playing with your cams and things like that, then you're going to love this custom tactic. And of course, due to the nature of this custom tactic being a little bit more different, it's important that we talk about the squad that you're going to need. And across the board, every single custom tactic, your defense, maximum pace you can get across the board. This Maldini, obviously I got him. I tried him at left back. I didn't really like him. I feel like he kind of has a bit of clunkiness to him. Not that that's a bad thing by all means. It just means I don't think he'd be better out wide. I think he's better down the middle. And down the middle, he's perfectly good. He plays just like a center back normally would, so I like him out in the back. Left back, this is Marcos Alonso. I'm a Chelsea fan, so that's literally the only reason why this card plays. If it was the other way around, or if I wasn't a Chelsea fan or something like that, I'd probably use there's like 5 other cards I'd use, to be honest. But it's a good card, don't get me wrong. At your CDM, you're holding CDM, as you can see at the top right. Make sure you can get someone with really good passing play styles and really good defending play styles. Now, I don't have, like all white defending play styles. I wish I did, but I don't. But the most important part that I do have is Intercept Plus, and that feels really good in game. Now, if you have Anticipate Plus instead, or at least Anticipate White, that's also going to be really useful, but I have a lot of value with the passing all white. Basically, every single custom tactic I make, these 4 right here, they're just really, really valuable. So if you can get these 4 and all your center midfielders and even your cams as well, it's going to be really good. Like, even for instance, I've been building, let me pull it out real quick. You see this Nico Jackson right here, for instance. I've been building it since Foot Birthday. All 4 of these, like, these are just, even on a striker, like, I really just want to have a card that just, or I want to have a team that has all of those, every single player, even the center backs if I possibly could. It just makes your passing so much more quicker. And as you can see, that was a holding CDM. You're going to have one CDM or one center mid on the left. This player is going to be an all-action player. He's going to step up sometimes into the box. He's going to offer a little bit of width. So try to get a player that you can trust here to almost be like a cam, almost like a playmaker, but they're not going to have playmaker in the tactic. If you can trust them in the final third in the other team's box, then you can trust this card. Bonus points if they have good defending as well. This Curtis Jones card isn't the best defender, but it's not a huge deal because we'll talk about that when we get to the right back or the right mid. At which case, as you can see, Trent is still in my squad. Really valuable passing playstyle pluses, or really valuable passing playstyles, not the pluses, because long ball pass plus isn't that crazy. Still pretty good though. This card's still a pretty good defender. It's probably just because of the base stats to begin with, which are pretty high. But it does feel like, despite the lack of defending playstyles, it still feels like a really good defender, and that's what this player is. So basically, your left center mid just needs to be a good all-action player. You can be trusting them to attack as much as you can trust them to defend. But it's up to you how you want to play this card, to be honest. And then this one, just make sure, try to think of this card as a partner to your center defensive mid right here. That brings us to our cam. Basically, you want incisive pass like you always do on your cam, but also think of this card as a third striker, because in build-up you'll notice that in order to enable width, you'll be in a situation where this player is going to go to the left of the left striker or the right of the right striker, which gives you 3 up front in a row, in which case one of the center mids will step up to take over that cam position, or both of them will. So it's important that you have someone here that's quick, can play well in the wider areas of the pitch. This David Washington card does that pretty well for me, especially with rapid and quick step. He can act like a fake winger, like a striker, pretty well. And then your 2 strikers, self-explanatory, just get the best cards you can get up here. Base Ronaldo, I can't wait to put him in the Evos for the new season, and CR7. Double Ronaldo's up front, you can never go wrong with that. Now we'll take that to the custom tactic right here, and as you can see, these are the custom tactics. And just to keep in mind, I did not create these custom tactics. I'll let you guys know when I do a video on custom tactics I did not create, because for those that don't know, I have a Discord server where people can post their own custom tactics and post them for me and for everyone else to review. You can find this Discord with the link in the description. But yeah, these are just one of the tactics that I'm basically reviewing, and 4-1-2-1-2s are things that is a formation that I usually don't do. So being able to try formations like these, is a bit of fresh air for me. And as you can see, we're doing something different this time around, and we're doing build-up style counter with defensive approach aggressive. Now this part, the defensive approach, is pretty self-preference, and I'd say that with basically almost any custom tactic I do. If you prefer using high or even balance, if that's how you defend better, don't think that, oh, if I change it, it's going to break the custom tactic. It's not. Defensive approach, you can change this to whatever you want that, fits your play style. I try to, use them both in my custom tactics. That way everyone gets, their preferences catered to. But if you're someone that really only wants to use one type, then be my guest. You can change this to whatever you like. It doesn't break the tactic. It doesn't make it worse or better. Always just use the defensive approach that you prefer. But the build-up style counter, or the build-up style to begin with, is the one thing that if you change, it's not going to necessarily make it better or worse, but it's something that you at least want to understand what you're doing before you do such. Now, normally balanced is the best way to go. However, with counter, in short, basically what it does, it incentivizes players making runs in behind rather than coming in short. And there's an issue with this, sometimes just putting yourself in positions with custom tactics where you're just struggling to build up with the ball, players just aren't open. And the reason why we're not finding this issue in this custom tactic specifically is simply because of the fact that we have 3 center mids basically. And we're talking about the CDM, the center mid, and the other center mid. What this means for us is that we have 3 players right there in midfield that don't really have AI that, causes them to make runs in behind like that anyways. So it's not like you're going to be put in situations where you're in midfield and you're just struggling to build up, because when you have 3 center mids like that, you're just not going to be having that issue. But the biggest difference I noticed with counter is that it's going to make the shadow striker step up much more higher. And what I mean by that is that shadow striker, you're going to see him on the far left, the far right, and that's really important because it turns this custom tactic into almost like a 4-3-3 in build up, where the shadow striker is like a dynamic winger, a flexible winger. So it puts a little bit more flavor in your attacks. It makes your attacks look different. But yeah, that brings us to our player roles, which I did mention, a ton of it already. But yeah, like I said earlier, advance forward attack, double, very self-explanatory. These guys are going to be doing really good in terms of playing off each other's back. Generally speaking, whenever I have 2 striker formations, I 99% of the time recommend having 2 advance forwards. You can put 1 on support. I've done that before, but personally, I like putting both on attack, because the thing with attack is that it incorporates AI from support while still being, on attack. So the benefit with that is sometimes this player will make a run behind and then this one will stay a little bit back. They're just going to work in tandem really effectively. So double advanced forward attack is really good. And like I said earlier, shadow striker attack, as you can see in the description, it's talking about holes behind the strikers. You don't have to think about it in terms of behind the strikers, because as you can see with the zone map, you might notice that if this player drifts a little bit into the middle, boom, this player is going to take a position on the right. Or even if he stays right here, he's going to still go down the right or even down the left. It's just a matter of where he's going to run, because since we have it on counter, he needs to run somewhere, and he can't just run down the middle if both these players are in the middle. So like I said, you get a bit of dynamic movement out of that flexible AI. And then your box to box, like I mentioned earlier, this player is going to sometimes step up to be the playmaker when this cam has stepped up into the attack, into the striker's position, or sometimes he's just going to make a run into the box himself. That's a really important part with this custom tactic. Every attack looks slightly different. It's not predictable, so that way your opposition, their defense doesn't really know what to predict. And then in defense, this player is just everywhere, to be honest. He's just a really good player a really good role to have in this midfield, since we already have contrasting profiles to the left, or sorry, to the right of this, which, as you can see, deep line playmaker, defend. We don't use build up primarily because, one, if we did, this player is going to be really aggressive, especially with counter, and we don't need that from him. We don't need him to step up. We already have 3 up front that are doing a really good job, and the box to box is going to take over a lot more attacking AI than we to the point where we don't need anything else. We just need a player that can help the holding defend right here. And I find that deep line playmaker defend is the perfect middle ground for still being a playmaking presence in midfield. They're still stepping up to a role where if you need to cut back a little bit, recycle play, you can do that pretty effectively. And with that being said, you're holding CDM on defend, very self-explanatory. He's going to sit in front of the defense. He's going to clean up your chances or your counters. We do not need any attacking presence from him. He doesn't even need to have good passing play styles. Although it'd be pretty valuable if he did, because this player just needs to defend. That's all you need to do. You already have your entire attack settled up front. You don't have to worry about anything else. And then obviously your whole entire defense, fullback defend, defender defend, goalkeeper defend. I don't see much reason to change it other than that, but that's all. Like I said earlier, if this video was dropped and it's been right after Team of the Season is officially released, it's probably because there wasn't a patch, so I can assume that these custom tactics are still as effective as I used them prior, because I've been testing it past couple days. So, but if there was a patch, best believe we're on our way to testing it. Maybe it's better, who knows. But as far as the rest of the video goes, we've went over everything that needs to be mentioned. I leave a little bit of time at the end of these videos to go over a couple things that I didn't get to in the custom tactics portion, but I feel like I've mentioned everything. So for the video, guys, that's all.